Some mechanics and engineers from Puyallup came up with the new state patrol and helped reconnect the building to the power grid. The CDC kept on doing research like nothing had ever happened, and the nearby stronghold brought the nearby fresh food periodically. The nearby CDC base. The two communities ended up commingling. Some prior families were reunited, and several new happy families sprung out of the situation, which was a win-win for everybody. The rat population stretched out and calmed down and ended up not bugging anyone, although occasionally one would stray too close to the stronghold and get lost. Ricky kept telling them, but it was fairly useless on things like that. Occasionally a drone would fly overhead, and Ricky would wave at it. Beninka would smack him playfully whenever he did it. Ricky and Beninka stayed together. Beninka continues playfully beating Ricky, but he doesn't mind. Sometimes he would try to defend himself, but it never ended well, and he'd always lose. They enjoyed each other's company a lot and were inseparable. They even got to plant pumpkins, which was very exciting because Ricky loved pumpkin bread. It wasn't too long before Martina ended up moving out and finding her own house to stay in nearby. Nobody ever went near it because it was chock full of spiders. Martina seemed to like it that way. Sometimes when they were asleep, all at the same time, their mysterious frog friend would pay the trio a visit. They loved to stand by the new lake and listen to the happy croaking and burping of the frogs together. Chapter 24, Epilogue, Back in Class, Stronghold, Early Summer. So, yay, everyone, what'd you think? One of the little girls yelled at me. That was gross. I shrugged and said sheepishly, yeah, sorry. I thought you all wanted a story about this. I forgot. What was the original question anyway? Rats, right? Yeah, but spiders and frogs are gross. Another kid, a girl, held up a frog and waggled it at her. Its helpless legs dangled there and it burped at her, so she put it back away. I adjusted myself in my teaching chair uncomfortably. Yeah, you should probably put that back. Not all of them are okay to grab. Another kid was pointing at a spider in the room. Is that one of Martina's spiders? I responded thoughtfully. No, Martina is quite a bit north of here. The stronghold near them is a different one. I don't know if all of our strongholds have names, so I don't know what to call it. Another asked if the red monster was gone. I thought for a second and tried to figure out how to word it. Unfortunately, he isn't really gone. We thought he was gone the last time and ended up popping back up. I thought for a second, trying to decide how much to tell. None of them are ever really gone, but if he comes back, or if any of his friends ever come back, there's quite a few of us now that can take care of him. I thought to myself that didn't work either, as I was getting a lot of blank stares. He's far away. Let's put it that way. They all nodded. That seemed to work. One of the kids made a statement, then asked, so rats aren't really dangerous? I shrugged. I mean, they can be. Any critter, if they gets to be too many of them, can be dangerous. We have great counter disease center working to make sure all the animals are safe from bad viruses. I think we'll be a-okay, but please ask your parents before you take a wild animal home with you. A few of them looked at me guiltily. None of you will be in trouble, but please be careful. Pets are an important responsibility. But none of them really said anything, so I continued before the parents started picking up the kids. Animals are great, and every single one is important, so you have to respect them. Especially the orangish red chicken. It's cute, but don't try to grab it. I paused for a second, trying to remember if anything else was important. Oh yeah, and also don't do drugs. If you see any needles on the ground, don't touch them, and tell an adult. One of the kids asked about hypothetically finding various plants and smoking them. Ask your parents about smoking if for some reason you want to. You're probably all too young to be thinking about that. Plus, you aren't supposed to be playing with fire, are you? They all shook their heads. I thought to myself as the parents picked up the kids. Ooh, sure dodged a bullet on that one. I don't care if they smoke weed when they get older, but gotta make sure there isn't anything harder or synthetic going around. Hopefully there aren't any more nests of those psychos. Intel finally says we got them all. Last of the parents got their kids, and I only got a few dirty looks this time. I looked up at them and smiled and shrugged. When the last children left, I closed up my classroom and in the farmhouse and went to my tiny house. It was a warm evening, but cool inside. My cat was happy to see me, but had a wild look in her eyes like she'd been dealing with keeping a rodent shoot out all day. She grabbed my arm and clamped down and wouldn't let go, leaving several piercings in my arm and hand. I put some alcohol soap on my wounds, and she seemed satisfied that she'd done enough damage and flopped down on the bed cranking at me. I checked her food and water, and it was fine like always. I think she'd been using her cat food as a trap to try to get mice in or something. I checked all the corners, and cinder blocks filled with rebar and gravel were all solid as a giant stone wall could be. It was cooling down outside, but it could have been 100 out there, and I still wouldn't have felt it in here. It made going to sleep so much easier. When I finally did dream, it started with something very simple. A man, a stick, a giant earthquake, and a massive divided region. Massive divided region, fighting for its identity. Alright, that is the end of book 12. I hope you guys enjoyed it.